Minhas senhoras e meus senhores, queiram fazer o favor de permanecer nos vossos lugares. Vamos dar início à ação Promover a Ação no Atlântico e vai usar a palavra a Diretora-Geral para os Assuntos do Mar e Pescas, representante da Comissão Europeia, Miss Lowri Evans.
Ladies and gentlemen, Minister, I see the Minister has all her energy back, so even more than usual. It's great to see that. I'm delighted to be here. I think this is the European Atlantic capital, the natural European Atlantic capital in Lisbon. And that's a great place to talk about the maritime strategy. And also, it's good that we started our work on the Atlantic strategy here 2 years ago. You can see from the initial messages that the President of Portugal and my boss, who I think this audience knows as well, are very keen on actually crystallizing the blue growth potential that we have in the Atlantic member states because of the potential of the Atlantic Ocean. And the context that we have now, relative to the context that we have 2 years ago, is still one where we need to be identifying as much as possible all sources of new jobs. Now, on a macroeconomic perspective, I think we can see the first signs of success of a very tough strategy. But the pressure is still on all the politicians, all of us administrators, to help really identify where are the extra jobs coming from. And this is what this work is all about. It's what it's about now. It's what it was about 2 years ago. The focus is still there. It's about how we can actually get to more sustainable growth, more sustainable jobs than would occur if we did nothing. So what have we been doing? We've been working very hard for the last 2 years. So we've been trying to answer some of the questions, or actually creating better conditions for this growth, for this extra growth, for these extra jobs to come about. So we've been trying to identify what actions do we need to take to deliver the political objective. We've been looking very hard about how those things can be funded. We're very aware that now, more than perhaps 5 years or 10 years ago, we really need to have answers to where is the money coming from, because at the moment the banking sector is still not working at full capacity, I think. We are very aware about the linkage in this area between policy and research and innovation. Because this is a very new area, in effect, we need to really privilege more research that can unlock more innovation to support growth and jobs. And then we also understand that there are actually skills bottlenecks. This is really weird, no? I mean, we have so many people looking for work, but in the marine sectors, which are already doing very well, we actually have skills bottlenecks. So how can we actually address that so that the blue economy can really unleash its full potential? So what do we actually have to do? We have the beginnings of an approach to that now, because we have been talking for the last 2 years with the right people, I think. We've had the right people from the member states. We've certainly had the right person from Portugal, so João Fonseca Ribeiro. He has had a huge influence on the European strategy, a really positive influence. We've had big contributions from all of the European institutions, European Parliament, but also, for example, the European Investment Bank. There's a lot of interest. A lot of people on the ground in all of the Atlantic member states have a lot of ideas. We've identified all of those ideas, we've put them together, and we've identified in practice what are the most promising things that we think could be done. That's what the action plan is. So the action plan that the Minister talked about is about, in the first place, making sure that we increase the research capacity. So all of the member states people that are involved in this area understand that marine research is very expensive. So in the first place, we need to be sure that the member states are working together so that they don't waste any of that precious resource. They need to be working together because a lot of the issues that are in the Atlantic Ocean are the same for all of the Atlantic member states. So that's very clear now. It's about the investors. So that's the public side of it. That's where I have a particular interest. But it's really also about the private side of it. This is not only, not even mainly, about identifying European sources of money. It is perhaps mainly about unlocking more private investment, about financing the blue economy in a productive way. So it's about signaling to the private sector. And then, of course, the skills story is going to be there all the time. So this is about identifying, promising more detailed areas of work. So the action plan is, in essence, an indicative set of actions that we think can be helpfully employed to tackle common challenges. So areas where there is scope for collective work. So this is about the member states, about the actors, working together across all sorts of borders. So that can be interregional, it can be transnational, and we think that working together can help do the extra things. So there's an awful lot of work being done at national level, at regional level, and it's very good work. So we're trying to identify what can come on top of the existing excellent national work. And if we do the on-top things, we can develop our maritime economies better and quicker. So it's about creating more growth and more jobs. So what will the Commission do? What will the European Commission do? We basically are promising that all the funds that we manage will support the action plan. We will support what the national interlocutors will do, what the private interlocutors will do. On research and innovation, the EU's flagship research programme, Horizon 2020, now this is a concrete delivery now, we will front-load the blue growth part of that. So we will launch next year, in January already, a blue growth call for proposal. So this will explicitly support the Atlantic Ocean international cooperation, for example, with the launch of large and ambitious initiatives. So we are earmarking, already for January next year, 145 million euro. That's not the only money that will be available to support maritime research in the period 2014 to 2020, but you can see that we really deliver because we're putting the first lot of money into the public domain in January next year. So get ready to bid for that. Get ready with all of your brilliant ideas. There's other sources of funds that are managed directly at European level as well. For example, the funds that support small and medium-sized enterprises. The ministers talked about the importance of encouraging entrepreneurship. We really want to use the programs that exist at European level to support that, explicitly to support entrepreneurship in the maritime area. We will make sure that the Connecting Europe facility does its part. We will make sure that the LIFE program, which is there to help particularly on the sustainability, on the environmental side, does its part. So inside the Commission, we will work in a joined-up, intelligent way to support maritime initiatives, the intelligent and the best maritime initiatives. So we have done our homework, we will deliver. So now the focus is on the member states and the regions. So I hope that everybody is going to do it as well as Portugal is doing it, but I'm not completely sure yet. We need a little bit more assurance. We now need to make sure that the national partnership agreements are actually making the right provision for EU structural and investment fund financing for projects that can deliver blue growth. And then the regions, who have a lot of autonomy in many of the member states, must make sure that the operational programs are also geared towards the implementation of the action plan. So this means identifying concrete maritime projects with clearly defined outcomes, along the lines of the actions proposed. And we strongly suggest that you do target the priorities indicated in the action plan. And why do we suggest that? Because all of our analysis shows that if you do that, it will deliver more growth and more jobs. So for the private sector and the non-governmental actors, we also recommend that you look at the action plan because we think you can join in and do your part and earn some money, if you're a private investor, from these very promising ventures. So we are encouraging you to team up with the public sector to deliver useful project ideas, useful investment ideas right now. So our action plan is basically a menu. It's a menu of ideas and suggestions that should catalyse local and regional efforts to build a blue economy, a stronger blue economy. It's about identifying the best practices, exchanging those best practices, and creating synergies on all of the issues that concern the Atlantic seaboard. So you can say that we have done some of the initial thinking up front because we want to accelerate implementation now. We are moving into an implementation phase starting in January. This is weeks, days away. We think investment in the maritime economy makes sense. It will produce more growth and jobs. I hope that there is indeed national vocation to actually reprioritise work towards the maritime area because we think this makes sense. This makes sense for what the people want. There is a European vocation to do this. That European vocation is there. It's endorsed by the European Council. At European level, the conditions have never been better. So let's get to work. Now is the moment. Thank you.